All right, so welcome to Hope for Highlands Task Force meeting today. I sent out the minutes from the last two meetings and then also the agenda. And on the agenda today, there's always a question we all need to answer as we introduce ourselves. And so today's question is, share something that you have learned about trauma within the group you are currently in. And if you're not assigned a group or haven't partaken in a group, you can share something that you're interested in learning about trauma instead. So name, where you work, and if you learned something new about trauma within your groups, or if you're interested in learning something new about trauma. So who would like to start today?
I'll go first.
Thank you.
I'm Natasha Lambright, Community Specialist with Volunteers of America. And when I read your question, the first thing that popped in my head was, I'm still learning a lot about trauma, but the things that stuck out to me that I've learned is for kids, I know that, abuse and bullying and some of those key topics I'm aware of, but some of the ones that are really sticking out to me more that I wasn't so aware of is the LGBTQ community, how big of an impact that's starting to have on kids. And, the introducing the importance of sexual orientation and pronouns and all of that, that's new to me too. And then also spiritual, I can't remember the exact word, it's in the bullet points I put, but some people, feeling that pressure to have a certain religion and things like that. So those are some things that I learned as being included in trauma that I didn't realize was a big issue for teens.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are great points. And I'm glad that came out during your group work. So thank you for sharing that. All right, next.
I'll go ahead and go. Carly, do you want to go? There's a lot more information and research out there than I thought there was. And so I've been trying to read articles and I feel like I'm just overwhelmed sometimes and can't get to enough or read enough or find out enough. So there's a lot of information out there to be learned.
Yes. And Darlene, did you introduce yourself?
I mean, everybody don't know me?
I don't know.
I'm Darlene Dick. I'm representing the school board. I'm actually a school social worker.
Awesome. And I agree with you, but that also says that because there is so much information, just how important it is, right? So that's a good point. All right, who's next?
I'll go here. CJ Wingate, over Champions for Children at the Family Resource Center here on the Circle in Sebring. What I have begin to notice about trauma is like Darlene, there's so much more stuff out there. And what I was referring to you a couple of weeks ago about the Columbus, I don't know if it's North or South Carolina, the police department is working and they have a social worker that goes out to these calls for domestic issues and whatnot to handle the trauma that has visited these people, and they see if they can help them.
That's good.
I think it over. Go ahead.
Okay. Annie Vincent with Champion for Children's. The thing I learned is that I didn't know so much trauma was going on in people's lives, even starting from babies, and it passes on down from generation to generation. And everything has been interesting and that I've been learning. And I also learned that I had trauma in my past from taking these classes and stuff, and things that happened to me, I buried it, but going through this class, I learned that the things I buried was actual trauma in my life. And one thing I would like for Highlands County is more shelters to be for the people that are homeless. I would like to see more shelters for Highlands County for the people.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for sharing.
Mhm.
All right, who's next?
I'll go next. I'm Carly Cardin from Peace River Center. And the group that I'm part of is the teens and adolescent group. And something that I learned that I thought was interesting was how trauma can actually affect the way that the brain is developing in somebody who experiences it at that age. I didn't know it had such a significant impact. So I thought that was sad, but very interesting when it comes to looking for therapies and treatment and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, when you start getting into it, you realize how much trauma truly affects our mind, body, and soul, like everything. So
It really does.
yeah. Thank you, Carly. All right, who's next?
I can go. My name is Linda Burnett, and I'm with Department of Children and Families. And a couple of things, we are seeing an increased amount of cases involving children that have the gender dysmorphia, the gender identification issues. And we're finding that the children who are struggling with their gender identity are not so much doing badly themselves. It's in reaction to other people around them that don't know how to treat them. Parents that don't understand. I get a lot of, well, when I was growing up, we never heard of any of this. And so you have them coming from that point of view that they don't really know how to have conversations with their children about it. And so opening up that topic, one of the things that I am happy about seeing, and this is not only within the department and the cases we investigate, but a lot of the things that you see, even just things you read, conversations you have with other people, is when it comes to trauma, we are now normalizing having a conversation. And I think that's a huge, well, it's the beginning of anything, progress in any topic at all. The fact that not only are conversations having place, but it's becoming quite normal that those conversations are taking place. So, and we're finding out that trauma presents in so many different ways. And it sounds silly to say, but we think of trauma as being traumatic. And sometimes trauma is not traumatic, not what we think traumatic, that, oh, a parent died when you were young, your house burnt down, you witnessed a crime. And sometimes trauma can appear in a subtle way. I was listening to someone online giving some information, and it said, you know, if there's certain things in your life that are not lining up, it could be due to childhood trauma. And you think, well, that's not me because I was never locked in a basement. So therefore, I didn't have any childhood trauma. So sometimes trauma can come from your parents just dropping the ball in certain areas. And it might have been something that you needed. So I'm really happy about a lot of the topics that are coming to light now. It's exposing a lot of bad things, but the exposure will make the bad things better. It gives us a way to address things. So for me, it's an exciting time, and I'll tell you, mental health is not my wheelhouse. So there's probably some people in here saying, where'd she come from? I mean, we've known this a long time. So it may just be exciting for me, but I feel like we are moving into a time of social consciousness where childhood trauma is just one of the many things that we are opening up, the sun's shining on it, and we're having exposure and we're having those conversations.
Yes, absolutely.
I think I kind of ventured off and just started talking, but sometimes that happens.
No, I love that. I love that. And I appreciate all your input and very good points. And Linda, I'm so happy that you are presenting DCF and being part of this group. It's so important. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. I think that was great. All right, who's next?
Hi, I'm Erica. I work for One More Child from the Anti-Trafficking Program. Something that we've been talking in my group is the importance of being trauma-informed and being able to provide services being trauma-informed. Because even though we all do have trauma, other people do have more complex trauma. So to be able to understand and to know how to talk to people that comes from all different paths, and to know the triggers are going to appear, and also half of the people do not know what triggers them until it has happened. So that's why it's so important to be trauma informed when providing services to adults and minors.
Absolutely, Erica. Thank you for that input. Erica and Felicia, you don't have your videos on. Is there a way you can turn your videos on, or are you not able to?
No, I'm not able to at the moment.
Okay. All right. Who's next?
I'm James Leonard, teacher at Helgestant Middle, and I guess I have an interest in learning something new, something basic. I just wanted to learn how to have a healthy approach with someone who is exhibiting signs of trauma and share with them the concepts of trauma and being trauma informed.
Perfect. Couldn't say it any better. That's exactly what this group is all about. Learning about it and understanding, being aware, and how to provide hope and healing to those that are traumatized. Felicia just said her mic is not working. That's okay. We're gonna go ahead and move on. I think we lost Casey. I think Casey was on. Maybe she'll come back on. I'm not sure. But I'm not surprised that our Monday group is a little bit smaller, and I have a feeling it will grow as long as the school, again, understand that they can join us at this point. I just haven't really shared the word too much with the school yet. And Darlene, I'm hoping that you can maybe help me with that too, and let school staff know that we do have these meetings on Monday afternoons now, so that teachers and school staff can join if they want to.
I'll be glad to do that.
Awesome, thank you. So let's go over the minutes from last time. And we didn't have a meeting earlier this month because I was actually out sick. So I apologize for that. But so these meeting minutes is from our January 24th meeting. That was our 14th meeting. We had 12 attendees, and the question of that day had been, if you could invite someone to this meeting, who would it be and why? And then I had asked, maybe what you can do is reach out to that person and see if they would be interested. So for you that were not attending last meeting, maybe that's something you can think about and see if there is someone else that you might want to invite to kind of help us spread the word and do the work and so forth. Other than that, our meetings are still being uploaded on YouTube. So if you do miss a meeting, you can watch them there. The link is always attached on the meeting minutes. We went through the different groups last time just to see where everyone was at. And we had an open discussion. So I'm not going to go over the groups because we're going to talk about it today again. So there's no reason for that. But a few fun things came up on our open discussion that I kind of just wanted to mention. We talked about our local billboards and getting on there. For some reason, this is a hot topic for our group. We want to be on billboards. Yes. We'll make it happen. I know we will. So there was a couple of people that were going to follow up on that. They're not in this meeting today, so I don't know how that went. Katie, our in-house designer, says she can design any posters and flyers that we might want to use and spread. So if you're like, yeah, I wouldn't mind having some flyers available, we can definitely do that. However, I don't want to spend too much money on it since we're doing a guidebook. So let me know. Just shoot me an email and say, you know what, I would just love to have some sort of flyer or some little card or something would be good. We can definitely look into that more in that case. Oh, we're going to talk about website and Facebook group. That was something that had come up in discussion. And then we also spoke about Hope for Highlands event for 2022. And that is also on our agenda for today. So instead of going back in time, let's move forward, right? So let's do group check-ins first. And I actually want to share what the older adults group has completed because they're pretty much done. So I'm going to share my screen with you all and see if this works. And then we'll just kind of go over it. Okay, so keep in mind that 1, it still needs to be edited. And 2, yes, because this group did it a certain way, I kind of don't want you to do the same way. I want every group to do it whatever the way they've been working on and getting it done, because I think it will be more interesting than seeing a lot of repeat within the guidebook, if that makes any sense. So first of all, they wrote their message that we had talked about when we did our strategic plan in the beginning last year, when we said we want to have a message for each of these age groups. So their message is trauma does not discriminate based on age, but it's also never too late to heal from it. I think that's a good message. What do you guys think? Feedback on that?
I think it's great for that age group.
Awesome. Okay. So the way they did it, it just kind of defined what an older person is, 60 years of age and older. I had in the beginning put 65 and up, but I agree that we can change it down to 60. And then it talks about them being a vulnerable population, and they are at a greater risk of poor physical, mental, or social health conditions, and that gender, age, race, and financial dependence are part of those risk factors. I think that's a good, important thing to point out. And then they're also mentioning that we are growing significantly with our older adult population. And so they're making a point that, hey, it is important for us to be trauma informed, understand the different risk factors and challenges that this group experiences. And then they go back to the point, you know, trauma does not discriminate based on age, but it's also never too late to heal from it. So that's kind of where that comes from. Now, if you do see within the text, there are those little numbers. This is the 1, this is the 2, and I want to point that out so I don't forget. That is how they keep track of their references. And that's probably how we're going to do it in the guidebook. Yes, put a little number and make a list, and we'll go over this as we move forward. So I don't know why my screen is not, there we go. So the first section they have is they're listing the most common risk factors for experiencing trauma or traumatic events. So major events and life changes can not only trigger trauma in older adults, but place them at a greater risk of morbidity and mortality. And then they're listing some of these risk factors: chronic health problems, life-threatening diagnoses, changes in family relationships, occupational and social roles, and so forth, keeping it very age appropriate for the risk factors so they're not all over the place. And then they're listing the challenges for older adults. So specific challenges for this age group. Like trauma symptoms in older adults can be masked by other health conditions. And on the other hand, a health condition may be caused by trauma, right? Coping mechanisms previously used by the older adult to deal with trauma triggers or symptoms may no longer be available or possible. That's a great point, right? We change. One traumatic event may create a series of traumatic events in an older adult's life. And I love that they gave an example. Let's say an adult may fall and get hurt, getting hospitalized, have surgery, and having to move to a nursing home. Each one of these events can be traumatizing, right? And we might not even think about it when we work with them. Or one of these events can be traumatizing, but maybe not the others. So that's a good example to bring in here. And then the last challenge would be shame or guilt may stop them from revealing an abuser who might be someone they love. Sometimes they simply do not have the capacity to report it or know how to report it. So very good points. Any comments so far on this, what they have done? Okay. Okay. And then they have, signs of trauma in older adults. So for example, they list behaving differently than normal, experiencing health issues, have physical signs of abuse and neglect, such as bruises, loss of weight, bleeding, signs of anxiety, and so forth. So they list different signs that we can pay attention to in older adults. So that's also really good. And then they have a section that says, how can we help prevent trauma for older adults? Attend trainings and become trauma-informed. That's great. Provide and encourage social interactions and peer support. Do daily, weekly, monthly check-ins and support family involvement. Make sure basic needs are met, including medical care and regular checkups. Support healthy eating, exercise, and regular sleep. Involve community services, coordination of resources, and follow-up. Connect with safe support groups and peer support. Identify unsafe and difficult situations, and so forth. So I think that's great to have a list of, let's say we have someone that knows an older adult that can start paying attention to these things and help them out, right? And then we have how can we assist older adults who has experienced trauma? So what do we do afterwards? And this is also a list of different things. Empower, give them a voice and choice, treat adults as adults and ask for agreement when providing assistance, be an advocate, connect with appropriate professional community services for healing and opportunities. So really what they're saying is anyone can do these things. And as long as we can say, hey, here's a list of resources in our community, I can help you get in contact with them, or I can support you, going to them or whatever. So we're not really doing the healing per se. We're there to support. We're aware of the situation and we can help them get the support and healing they need. So I think that's a great list. And then of course, they're bringing up older adult abuse. There are 10 different types of abuse and they're listing those. And they're pointing out that unfortunately, only 1 in 24 cases of older adult abuse is reported, which blows my mind. And they're even making a point that Florida law requires the reporting of known or suspected abuse, neglect, exploitation, and so forth. So a very important piece to put in there, I think. And of course, as you are part of our groups, you will get section author credits. So that is quickly kind of going over that part. And this is 2 pages. Remember, I had asked for 2 pages of information. So I think this is a great example of what they came up with. So any feedback? I know CJ and Annie is in this group, so any feedback to them? Or suggestions, ideas, anything, questions?
I like how they number the citations. It looks a lot cleaner than having like the parentheses after each citation. I like the numbering.
Yes, I love the numbering, and that's what we'll go with in the guidebook is because it's less messy. And what we can do is, if we go down a little bit, they also included that community resource and services for older adults, which can be on a separate page. Does not have, because it technically is the whole page. But as you can see, they focused on strictly services for older adults, and that's a great part. This is great. Different community program guides, how to report abuse and neglect, different crisis interventions for adults, and then services for adults, including the most current list of food banks and list of mental health providers, which changes constantly. This is why they did it like that. But this even has legal helpline, financial protection, disability rights, veterans admin, agency for person with disability. These are all things that they really do need access to. So I think it's a great list. And as we edit these down the road, you know, there might be something that we add to it or whatever, but great list that they have put together. And then I said it was okay to do some, I think these are called callouts in a book, where they have a little like, do you know? And then there's a little thing. So they said, did you know older adults with a trauma history are often misdiagnosed and receive inappropriate treatment? And they did signs and symptoms of trauma can emerge for the first time during adulthood, no matter how long ago the exposure to the trauma event occurred. And approximately 1 in 10 Americans over age 60 experience some form of elder abuse. And when I read that, I was thinking, and only 1 in 24 of those are getting reported. That is just sad. And that is part of what we need to do this and change that. And also they wrote, a trauma survivor has an increased risk of developing dementia in older adults. So those are great. Those are things we can fit in through the book. Now, their references needs to be in APA format, so they're not completed, but those numbers that you saw in the first section, those are all listed here, so I know exactly where they got the information and can go in and help them figure out the right, correct APA format on their references. So when you do your work in your groups, you do need to make sure that you list where you got the information. So any questions on anything that they did, or any other questions for your groups?
I was just, no question. I was just going to make a comment that I thought it looked really nice and organized. I always talk about working at Volunteers of America, but I also work per diem as a social worker with Palms. And so their list of resources, I think, is terrific, because it's a lot of the resources I use as well when I meet with people. So yeah, I think it looks very nice. A lot of good information in there.
Perfect. And good job, Annie and CJ and your group, for getting that put together. So kudos for you guys. And as we go down the road and we edit, and one thing with references, you guys, our resources, so to speak, not resources, references, is when we get information from a source on the internet, please make sure that it is a credible source, a good source, and that the information is not too old. I really don't want to see too much after 5 years ago kind of thing, but I do know that a lot of reports and data sometimes come out late or whatever it might be. But if it gets like up to over 10 years old, we might want to reconsider using that source. And also, when you do write down information from a source that you want to use in a guidebook, you want to make sure that you put it in your own words, so that you're not just copying and pasting, because that is not the correct way of doing it. And something that when we edit this guidebook, we literally will have to go through and make sure we're not doing that. So there will be lots of work coming up when we get to that point, and I'm not sure if we're going to do that within the group or with an editing team. I haven't decided that yet, but we'll see what happens. So any other comments on this and what they did? Or questions? So I would like to do a check-in on the groups to see where you guys are at, if there's any changes and updates. So is there anyone here from ages 0 to 2? And I don't have the group names with me. I don't think so. Okay. Okay, so the ages 3 to 5. No one is part of that group either?
I'm in the 3 to 5 group.
Okay.
Katie and I were going to organize a separate meeting with our group, and we were unable to do that at the time. We've done a lot of research on it, and so I'm going to reach out to Katie and this afternoon and see if we can get back on the track so we aren't on the struggle bus with it, because time can go by. So and so I'll work on having something to turn into you.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect, Linda. Thank you so much. All right. We have the teens age, no, not teens, ages 6 to 12, right? James is part of this group. Okay, I will fill everyone in because I don't think you have the information, James. So this is Sarah Beth, Araceli, Katie, and James, right? And I know that there's been a lot of information sent in, and James and myself is going to edit and put that together nicely, just as I kind of did for the adult group a little bit. So he didn't even know he was doing this. But that's what happens when you marry to the Anna. Okay, so they have pretty much collected all their information. They just need to kind of put it in order and so forth, and they have their references and stuff. All right, ages 13 to 19.
I think Carly, you're in that group too, right? Carly.
Yes, and Miss Darlene, you are too, right?
Okay. So pitch in or, come in whenever. But it looks to me like we've put together most of our information. I've been kind of keeping track of the document, and I haven't really seen anyone add too many other things. So I think what we need to do is maybe just either get together or maybe send out like a reminder email or something to just remind everyone to go in and try to. I think we're still at quite a bit of pages, so we really need to shorten it up more and find a way to get it organized. And it looks like maybe cite the sources a little bit different with the numbers there. And I want to say we were really hoping to be able to get a group of kids to also look at it and review it and just see if there was anything else we were wanting to add or take away. So we just have to get together so we can finalize all that.
Yes, and give a shout out to me, y'all, please. I had a folder on my computer that I was keeping the information on, and something happened one day and it's gone.
Oh, the Google Doc?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can.
It's just been a mess. But anyway, I didn't cry, but I'm not real happy about it.
Yeah.
Just
I can forward it to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That sounds very traumatizing, Darlene.
Yes, I am experiencing trauma lately.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm sure it sounds like your group members are willing and ready to help you there. So yeah, shrinking down the information is good. Kind of talking about what sections you're gonna keep and have and doing the resources with the numbers sounds good. All right, good job on that. We have then the adult group ages 20 to 59. Erica, you're part of that, right?
Yeah, I am. So we have divided into 4 different sections, the research. So we should be done well, at least I'm done with my part. So we have divided it into like health and wellness, life challenges, skill building, and family/relationships. And within that, we'll break it down into the different aspects of trauma and like how it can be applicable in different areas. So that's where we're at so far.
I love that. I think that's perfect. So that's a good example on how a different group does totally different sections than the adult group or the older adult group did. And I think that's great. So good sections. And I know that you guys met a couple times online and are working on it. So I'm excited about that. Okay. So any feedback or any questions on the group work that we're doing from anyone? Okay. So let's talk website and Facebook page. This had come up at our last meeting. We were like, why don't we have that up and running yet? But now we do. So our Facebook page is just called Hope for Highlands, and it doesn't have anything on it, but it is up and it's open. So I'm hoping what we'll be doing is get a nice picture up there, start sharing some information, and I'm inviting all of you, if you have something that you would like to see on such a Facebook group for our community, to share things on there that would be helpful. If it's trainings, if it's information, you know, this is something that we can all take part of and do together for a better impact. So I'm hoping that you can all sign up for that. Hope for Highlands, that's all it's called. So it should be pretty straightforward to find it. And I will figure out on how to get a photo of our logo or something on there, so it's easy to find. When it comes to our web page, it is one of the pages under our Champion for Children Foundation website. So you can find Hope for Highlands under that, and I can also send out that link after our meeting today, so you can find that easy. It does have basic information on it, has a video on there, and how to get involved. So if you have suggestions for the website or Facebook, yes, email me and let me know. Okay, I'm open for anything, and especially help and support with it. So any questions on that? Okay. The homework assignment, not the group work, but the homework assignment that we had you guys do, talking about 100 to 150 words about your organizations and giving a quote. I got a few more in, but I don't even think I have half yet. So if you have yet to do yours, please work on that and get it in. I know I got Carly's, I got the school board with Darlene, I got Natasha's, I got the Champion for Children, I got Linda's, thank you. Erica, I don't know if I got anything from you guys. I can't remember. I have to look. So if you haven't done it yet, get it done, please. It should be fairly straightforward and easy to get it done. So last time we had talked about having a Hope for Highlands yearly event like we did last year with our kickoff event, but make that more of a yearly event. And I put it on the agenda today, not knowing that our key players for this was going to be out. I know Carissa had reached out to Dr. Longshore to see if there was a date that would fit the school better, if anyone would be interested to join us from the school board. Darlene, you probably don't know anything about this, but even if we can't have it during a date where teachers can get involved? Do you think maybe social workers can stop by, or counselors, or anything like that? I don't know how.
Well, I know last year the social workers had an opportunity to stop by, and our mental health people should have an opportunity to say, your hardest ones are going to be your teachers. But I would think our mental health and our definitely the social workers, we should be able to participate and stop by.
Do you think there is a better, I mean, is August, later in August still a good time to do it, do you think? Or
It kind of worked out well. I mean, get those first few weeks out of the way. And once everybody kind of starts rolling and everything, and then, if the word's out there, you can plan ahead. I know preschool is kind of hard because of all the trainings and all the stuff that we're required to do. So we wouldn't be able, even we would not be able to participate. So I think later on in August does work well.
all right, so maybe the last week of August or something like that. Okay, I'm still waiting for Carissa to get back with me. She was going to talk to Dr. Longshore about it and see if they wanted to have an input on the date, so to speak. But thinking about August, and I know it's a little bit away, but I know also how fast it goes with March being tomorrow. Does anyone have input on having an event like we did last year in the end of August? Is there something going on at the end of August that I might not know about, or you guys think that that would be a good time?
I don't know of anything going on. I'm sorry, Carly.
I'm sorry, Carly, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I just said it sounds good to me. I don't think there's anything
Okay,
going on.
all
Are
right.
we're still talking about August, right?
Yes,
That could be a good time because you've cleared summer. We don't have the summer activities, and we aren't into fall, because once you hit fall, it's over.
yeah.
There's so much that's fall into Christmas, and then it's over.
I agree
So-
with you. Yes. If
So August might be a good position to nestle in between those.
Okay. Yeah, because I think it's that time where we need to start looking at a date and set that date so we can start move ahead and plan for it. So I think that would be good. And so I'm going to have an open discussion, just like we did last time at this point, to see if there's anything else coming up. Within that, I do want to mention we do have CAP meetings, they're called. CAP stands for Child Abuse Prevention and Permanency. And we have CAP meetings monthly for our Tri-County area. So it's Highlands, Hardy, and Polk. And they talk a lot about services. They have presentation from service providers. They talk about child abuse prevention and adoption and so forth. If you're interested in joining CAP, because I feel Highlands is not represented as much as we should be on those meetings. Sometimes I'm actually the only one. The last meeting we had a few more, but if you're interested in this, I think it's on the second or third Friday of the month at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's virtually. So if you are interested, go ahead and send me an email and I can send you the invite link to that. It is right up in the alley what we're talking about. But I also don't want you to take on more than you can handle. So I am not going to get disappointed if you don't. I'm just kind of letting you know. And on the same note, we have another group that meets in Highlands County, which is the Children's Services Council that kind of also talk about child abuse, neglect, and prevention and such. And they report back to the county commissioners with their recommendations on what we need to focus on in Highlands County. So if this is something you would be interested in, and they definitely need more participants. I think I was the only one in the audience last time, again. And I know why, because of COVID, right? COVID has kind of got everything taken a back seat with participation, but these topics are just so important, especially for our Highlands area. Our numbers are not going down for child abuse. I know Sarah Beth reported to the Children's Services Council last time, and she's the manager at the Children's Advocacy Center, where she reported that child sexual abuse cases went up 25% last year. It's just not acceptable. And so if that's something you would like to get involved in and hear a little bit of, you know, other information that is shared and so forth, they meet on a Wednesday morning early. I think it starts at 8 o'clock. And I can't remember if it's the third Wednesday of the month, I believe it is. So if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and send me your email as well. Is there any other meetings or groups that we should be aware of and maybe getting involved in if anyone is interested, or anything else out there that I don't know about? No, those are the important ones. Hope for Highlands, super important. Which again, please invite people, because you know we need to spread the word. That's what we're here to do. So open floor, you guys. Anything on your mind, your heart, and your soul just aching to share, or questions, concerns, feedback? I'm open. I'm gonna be quiet for a little bit and just listen.
I had just wanted to share that I did try to reach out to Pastor George at the UCC off of Hammock Road, or I did reach out to him and I did talk with him, and he discussed it with his board, and he really considered joining Hope for Highlands, but he said he felt like his cup was full. He did offer it up to the board members as well, but they all kind of were in the same boat, kind of like you said, just that matter of not taking on more than you can handle. So they have all kind of reached their max. So I was just gonna share the information that I try to get a pastor on board, but he does a lot for the community. So I'll try to reach out to others.
Yeah, that's great. And we also have that intro packet that we can send out to kind of talk about Hope for Highlands and kind of share what we're doing and why, and it has trainings in it and stuff.
Yes, I sent that to him as well when I told him about the task force.
Awesome. Yeah, I might send out the intro packet again so you all have it. I think that's a good tool to use for things like that. Anything else?
I had a thought too. I believe Leadership Highlands, this current class, their project that they're focused.
You muted yourself. Okay.
Whoops, sorry. Just realized that. Their project that they're focusing on, I believe, is social services awareness, something like that. So that might be something that we could look at, maybe getting some individuals from that class to come in and join the task force.
Okay. I'm part of that class, and I didn't know we were focusing on that yet, but maybe we are.
I'm part of class of 2020, and Chris Juve has kind of pulled me into that. Okay. I guess they're putting on some event and everything. So I'll get with you offline about that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I did miss our trip to Tallahassee, unfortunately, last time. So if that was decided during that trip, then I'm not aware. But I would hope that they do choose a social service topic to work around. So I know I've been trying to sell them on it, so that would be awesome. Good idea for sure. Yes, Leadership Highlands. Yeah, anything else? James and Darlene, you guys, since you're from the school board, anything from your end of things that you can think about that we should focus on or do, or in support or awareness or? anything.
You know, right now, I mean, and I know someone else mentioned this too. We have such an issue with homelessness that I don't even know what to say, honestly. Especially with some of our families and all, and then all this, you know, the evictions and the rent prices and no housing. It's just at major heights right now.
Yeah. So the thing with homelessness, and I did this for my staff last Monday, I think, right? Or was it another day? I can't remember. It was sometime last week where I did a little skit about homelessness. So when I look at homelessness and we have a family to come into us, we need to start asking, why are you homeless, right? And it usually starts with, well, I lost the home I was in because I didn't have enough money to pay. Okay, then you need to ask, why didn't you have enough income? Well, because I'm a single mom with 3 children and I can't work during the hours that they're not in school. And matter of fact, the little one is not at all in school. So when am I supposed to work? Then you ask, well, why don't you have a support system? And, you know, as you go through these questions, it pretty much always comes back to what you guys trauma, right? So in what we do as social services in our community, we're so focused on this after the fact crisis situations. This is why we have so many homeless people. It's not so much that we don't have the apartments, which, don't take me wrong, we definitely need more housing. But that snowball effect that happens is why we have such a huge issue. So if we can focus more on the preventative side to prevent that from happening, we're in much, much better space and place. So not only do we need to focus on, you know, the crises, of course, but we need to do a lot more work on the preventative side. It always comes back to that. So it's interesting. It's an interesting topic for sure. Yes, James.
Yeah, in line with that, I just would like to say that as a part of the preventative steps, anything that can be done to help the kids who are struggling with that, because it's almost to a point where even in my situation, I can, without even having to ask, know which kids are struggling because they're not coming to school and they're not getting their work done. So those I think are easy things that possibly somehow the community could be a part of, trying to prevent and help those kids get to school, help them get the meal, help them get whatever contact that they're going to get with school more often, so that they're not missing so much school.
Yeah. It's a lot. There's a lot of kids that are late or are not showing up right now, right, Darlene? And it's part of the COVID issue too.
Well, and a lot of our schools, I have to give them credit, you know, because I do attendance review, but in those MTSS meetings and in those progress monitoring type things and all of that, I mean, we see it and we see it coming, you know, and teachers make us aware that, guess what, little Johnny's not coming, hadn't been here in 2 days, so, you know, and then it's like you don't get to it until boom, there's the crisis, or you see it. And sometimes during these meetings, you can intervene at a good point, but then you always have that number that all of a sudden you don't hit them until, I mean, you don't get them until crisis. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, we see it at the beginning and we kind of get a feel of it. Everything's okay, but how do you monitor and watch that or keep your eye on it? You know, because we don't have caseloads, you know, we just have to trust our teachers and our schools, because that's who's with them the most or who knows they're missing the most, than for us to follow up and check. I mean, I don't know. It's got to be a community effort, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're trying to do, right? So good feedback and input from both of you. I appreciate that for sure. Like, how do we solve that problem? Ooh. Darlene is like, you tell me. With
So I need to
prevention.
retire. We need to start a Darlene retirement fund, okay?
Oh,
That should be our next focus. Can you put that on the agenda?
we need to start one for me too, I think. Oh my goodness. All right. Okay, so any last thoughts from anyone? Are you all good?
I was just going to add on that topic and talking about groups that there is a homelessness task force that's led by Ingra and Gail that they do. I think it's the second Wednesday of every month at 1:30. So they talk about, they're really good at having like a highlight organization, and they get to talk about what they do and how they could further assist with that, you know, to play a part in trying to help people with the homelessness situation going on in the county.
Yeah, I have heard some great things about that too, because I think Noelia Martinez, our homeless liaison here for the school board, attends, and she's always sharing information with us about that. So it is great. Excuse me, my boss wants me.
That's okay. That's okay. So yes, good information, and thank you for sharing that. So what we're gonna do is I'll send out some links for those meetings for anyone that might be interested in joining those. And our next meeting, you guys, is on the second Wednesday. Yes, the second Wednesday of the month. So our next meeting is March 9th at 11 to 12. So I am begging and asking and pleasing with you, try to invite someone new. Might be fun, right? Why not? And I wish you the best with the groups, group work, and let me know if you need anything from me. I appreciate every one of you, and I will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.